Right? So I've heard a lot of arguments against climate change saying, yeah, maybe it is warming, but how do we know it's because of humans, right? How do we know that this isn't just another natural change in global warming? And my answer to that is that we understand climate very well, right? We understand the natural changes of climate, which I've talked about before, and we understand the human-caused changes of climate. And because of that, we're able to simulate these changes with mathematical equations. Put these into a computer, have a computer model that can both explain past climate and predict future climate. And this is an image that shows in black the observed temperatures, and in blue the natural impacts on climate, and in red the anthropogenic factors or the human caused factors. And you can see that the years 1900s and previous, what we observed made sense with the natural factors, right? We could explain the observed temperatures by the natural factors. However, since the year 1970 or 1980 and onward, the natural factors can no longer explain our observations. Instead, our observations are explained by anthropogenic factors, right? We know how much carbon dioxide we are putting into the atmosphere. We know how carbon dioxide impacts our temperature, and we are seeing that impact, right? Directly seeing that impact. So the previous graph was showing us the history of changes in temperature. This next graph is looking into the future for changes in temperature. And again, we understand largely the factors that impact the climate, and we're able to represent that in computer models. That means that we can run simulations forward in time to figure out what the temperature is going to be during the year 2100. And we've done this assuming that we are going to lower our carbon emissions. We've done this assuming that we are going to drastically increase our carbon emissions to get a range of temperature changes. You can see that even if we lower carbon emissions, we will expect a 4 degrees Fahrenheit change in temperature by the year 2100. If we increase carbon emissions, we should expect an 8 degrees Fahrenheit change in temperature. These changes in temperature aren't just going to increase mosquito days. They're not just going to decrease the amount we can play football. They are going to drastically alter the global system. They are going to cause extreme droughts. They're going to cause extreme hurricanes. They are causing extreme droughts. They are causing extreme hurricanes. I'm teaching a climate change class next semester. So if you're interested in climate change, please take that class. We're going to go way deeper into this. Just a few things that are already happening and that we predict to happen in the future is a shift in climate belts and vegetation zones. So if you are a farmer from a farming family or have a garden, you know that the crops that we plant here are planted at a specific time of year because of our specific climate zone. However, currently, and more so in the future, we are having to shift when we plant crops and what crops we are able to plant because our climate is shifting. So I'm guessing the crops that your grandparents planted, if you plant those same crops today, you're planting them at a different time of year if you're planting them at all. We also expect the seasons, the summers to become drier and the winters to become wetter overall in the US. Here in Georgia, if you look at these pictures, you see that all throughout the year, both summer and winter, we are expected to become drier. So again, the crops you planted previously probably won't be able to survive or thrive in the same way that they are going into the future, right? Because in Georgia, we are expecting our climate to get drier. We are also expecting more extreme heat days, more extreme heat waves. This is above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We call those heat-threatening heat waves. And this map is showing the projected number of days above, right, the 90 degrees Fahrenheit compared to the recent past. And you can see that in the recent past, our parents' time, our grandparents' time, where we live, had about 90 to 100 days above 90 degrees Fahrenheit. However, in the future, by the end of our lifetimes, where we live is going to almost double that and be up to about 150 days of heat wave days. And this is really important because you might think, oh, it's just hot. It's only 90 degrees. We're in the South. We can withstand 90 degrees. No big deal. But it's estimated that over 1,300 people die in the US every single year from extreme heat. Anytime somebody is sick, extreme heat just exacerbates that and can cause other symptoms to get worse and worse and worse, causing us to eventually die. So heat actually kills a lot of people in the US every year. As we talked about before, because global warming is causing ice on land to melt, causing the ice sheets to melt, causing the glaciers to melt, much of that water is going down into the oceans and raising the sea levels. Since the last ice age, sea levels have risen about 120 meters. That's about 400 feet. That's primarily natural, right? The natural end of the ice age. However, over the last 130 years, and this rise has been mainly human-made, sea level has continued to rise. And since the year 1880, sea level has actually risen about 20 centimeters, right? And 20 centimeters might not sound like much until you remember how close to sea level we actually live. Many people live, including us, many people live within a meter or so of sea level. It's about 20% of the world population lives within a meter or two of sea level, which means that if global warming continues on the same trajectory that we expect it to, places that are on the coast, like Brunswick, will either be flooded more often. Actually, we will definitely be flooded more often, or worst case scenario, by the year 2100, we'll even be underwater and our cities will be not livable. Right? So much of Brunswick is less than 2 meters above sea level. Downtown is less than 2 meters above sea level, which means that right, there's a large possibility that within the next 100 to 600 years, Brunswick will be gone. And I know I'm ending on kind of a bummer of a note, but if you are interested in climate and you want to learn more about it, I am teaching an entire class next semester called Global Climate Change, and I would love to have you in that class.